Hey, hello, I'm JulieJo. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I am so glad that you're here. If you're not new here, welcome back. Look at my super cool sweater. It has a bleach stain, so I don't wear it as often, but it says disappointments, all of you, and it has Jesus I thought it was funny. And actually, I didn't mean for this to happen, but it worked out. This is actually a Christian housewife plus homemaking video that we're reacting to, so that worked out pretty well, didn't it? Anyway, it's getting cold here in Minnesota. My nose is stuffy. I'm stuffy. I'm off work tonight, so I'm lazing around and I'm looking like this, and I'm fine with it. I just thought it'd be fun to react to a video together and also look at these comments, because this is why these videos are not good. There is a big reason that I like to cover these things, because I feel like this thought process is very dangerous, especially for women in certain types of relationships, in particular Christian housewife homemaking relationships, and it opens the door for domestic abuse very easily. And I think part of the importance of this is looking at some of these comments so that we can talk more deeply about it. So we're going to watch this video called Stop Complaining About Your Marriage, Traditional Christian Housewife Plus Homemaking. Don't forget to support the channel for free simply by hitting the subscribe button and the like button. Let's get started.
I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about your soft skin, cause we're still sleeping in my head. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about your soft skin, cause we're still sleeping in my head.
This is from This Mama's Faith, a YouTube channel, and this is public. Anyone can watch it, whatever. But if you want to leave comments or thoughts, don't go to their channel. You can comment below here.
Hello and welcome to my channel, This Mama's Faith. It is my prayer today that after you watch this video, you leave feeling inspired by God's Word and motivated to serve others. My name is Tabitha Kelly. I am a wife of 10 years, a homeschool mama to 6, a joyful homemaker, a lover of coffee and dresses, but most of all, a daughter of Christ. Today I am taking you along while I do some homemaking and share with you what God has laid on my heart this week. I hope you enjoy this video and consider subscribing. Today I have some homemaking to do in my house, and while I'm working today and talking to you, I hope this motivates you to get something done in yours. If you're feeling uninspired...
You know what's really interesting to me is this traditional Christian housewife homemaker thing. Posting, educating, being on social media, all of these things that aren't traditional and that do bring in an income and that are considered a job of some sort. And it is very non-traditional. So for someone like Tabitha to come on here and talk about tradition and how you need to follow it and all this stuff, it's very hypocritical for her to post on YouTube and make money, because I thought the husband was the one who's supposed to make the money, who's supposed to do that in the household. So I don't know, that's just an interesting thought to me. Let me know what you think below.
Or unmotivated, why don't you get up and do some of these things with me? The length of this video is perfect for you to wash a sink full of dishes, fold a basket of laundry, or get yourself freshened up for the day. If nothing else, make your bed and listen to what God is telling you through this video. Welcome to week 3 of our Proverbs 31 Bible study. This week we'll be talking about Proverbs 31:11. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain.
I find that so interesting, because a lot of time men intentionally don't confide in their wife. They see their wife as their, and this is going to sound weird, but it's true when it comes to traditional homemaking, their mom / servant / sex object / maid. I mean, just all of those types of things. And for her to act as though if your husband doesn't confide in you, that it's somehow still your fault, even if he's not that type of person to confide in you, or because some guys just don't, especially when it comes to traditional homemaking. If your husband, wait, no, you know what, let's listen to that last few seconds again.
Today we are talking about how we can become a trustworthy wife. Ask yourself, does your husband trust you? Do you find him confiding in you, sharing his deepest thoughts with you? If you feel like you could improve upon this, I hope this video truly blesses you and that you can work towards becoming a trustworthy wife.
So the way she has said this is everything is essentially the wife's fault. this is just like kind of the overarching idea of traditional Christian homemaking, whatever. If the husband doesn't confide in you or share their deepest thoughts with you, figure out how to be more trustworthy for them. So if they don't do that, then you're not trustworthy enough. When in reality, maybe they just don't do that. Maybe they just don't confide in you. Should they? Sure. But also, there are huge stigmas when it comes to traditional Christian men. They don't see, like I said earlier, they see the wife as those things. They don't see them as a confidant. Not at all. It's very rare, in fact. So she has that. Good for her. But again, this idea that, well, if he doesn't confide in you, it's your fault. There could be nothing wrong with the husband. Wild take, but not surprising.
The first way that you can become a trustworthy wife is by looking to God first. Having your heart set on God, set on things above, and seeking your fulfillment from Him is going to be the way that you can ultimately become a trustworthy wife. A woman whose security is in God doesn't look toward their husband to fulfill her, nor does she look to him to meet her needs. She's learned to trust in the Lord. She's learned to look to the Lord to meet her needs. Because the truth is, no man can fulfill the needs of a woman. No man has that capacity. We are living in a fallen world.
So no man can fulfill the needs of the woman. So have no expectation of the husband. Just have zero expectations of him, okay? No man can ever fulfill all the things a woman needs. But God can. However, the woman's got to fulfill what the husband needs. This ridiculous, out of touch, massive amount of pressure, expectation, all that put on the wife, I can only imagine that it has got to be one of the most mind-numbingly exhausting, robotic things ever. Does that make sense? Like, the only ability that you have, like, the only thing I feel like to keep you sane sometimes is just, like, shutting off all of your emotions. Just shut it all off and be the robot. Be the sex doll. Be the servant. Be the maid. Be the mother. Be whatever. And shut off all the things that you need, because it's never, ever, ever going to be about you and what you need. You just need to talk to God. But God's not talking back. That's the thing. God's not here serving you. In my opinion, God's not real, okay? And so you have these women who believe that He is, and just like pray and give and hope and cry out and all of this stuff. God's not giving it back to them. God's not listening. This sounds like one of the worst lives you could ever live. You pour out and you give everything to everyone else, but no one's there to give to you except God.
Some husbands are godly, good men, and they seek the will of God and seek to be good Christian husbands. And He will try to fulfill a wife's need, but she shouldn't expect that.
Right, have no expectations of the husband. Just like I said, zero expectations, but the husband has to have all expectations of the wife.
She should look to the Lord, not live in expectation. When you are secure in the Lord, what will happen is that you see anything that your husband does for you as a true blessing and a privilege, and you will appreciate it even more. When you have no expectation, you will find your satisfaction in the Lord. He's the one that gives you joy. It's not a husband you're looking to find joy.
Right. So you should not find joy, love, compassion, excitement, partnership, anything in your husband, is what I'm hearing when she's talking. Am I wrong? That's everything I'm getting from this. I'm curious what y'all are getting. We're only 3 minutes in. 3.5 minutes in. It's 13.5 minutes, but still, this is horrible. This is worse than the other one she's done.
Many women will complain that your husband doesn't do this or that, doesn't meet your needs, doesn't fulfill your desires, doesn't...
Sorry to pause so much, but in Christianity, they call communicating complaining a lot of times. And then when you are actually complaining because you've tried to properly communicate for so long and you start to nitpick and complain because they refuse to actually do it, then you're still also the bad guy. So even just basic communicating from wife to husband is complaining. I wish I was kidding. Okay, so I forgot to mention, many of you know, master's degree in theology. I have that. Cross-cultural studies, degree in is my bachelor's, my minor's Christian education. I thought I was going to live this life. Kind of. Ish. That would probably be the absolute worst thing I could ever do in life, is live whatever's going on here.
Make you happy. When you know the truth that God needs to fulfill you, that God is the one who meets your needs, then you will be happy with even the little that your husband does, because it's him who is the one who knows you fully.
So your husband, there's no possible way for your husband to know you fully or to know you well. And you should be grateful for the little that he does? I don't fucking think so. That's ridiculous. Oh my God. That's just, this is just much worse than her other video. And that's shocking because her other video that I've covered was pretty rough too. This part is literally called not living an expectation. Have zero expectations, essentially is what she means. Zero expectations of your partner in life. Right. That's healthy. My God.
A trustworthy woman will make room for her husband to lead. Many women are highly capable and may even think that they could do a better job than their husband to lead the family. But that is not how God has ordered the world. God's will for marriage is for the man to lead, not because he qualifies necessarily. Maybe you would do a better job in certain instances. But because God said it is so, whether your husband is a good leader or not, it is the will of God for him to lead. So the trustworthy Proverbs 30.
So let me get this right. The woman thinks that she'd probably lead better. Let's see why. Well, she carries the mental, emotional, and physical load of the family. She carries all of that. The man knows next to nothing about his kids. Just the basic, the surface area. The man doesn't really know how to cook, clean. The man doesn't really know how to take care of the household or the home. What he does is he gets up, goes to work, comes back. Maybe he pays the bills, but I can guarantee you the wife likely knows a lot more about that too. So why in tarnation should the woman not be the one leading if she's carrying the load of, like, the emotional, mental, and physical load of the entire family? Absolutely ridiculous. Like, of course the woman would do better, but you still have to trust the man because you got to trust in God. So even if your husband is a piece of shit, a terrible leader, you still have to let him lead because you're a subordinate. It's honestly such a tortuous life for the wife to live. Honestly, I mean, sure, some might find joy in it because maybe their husband does actually lead well, but they don't normally. Like, this is not normally how things should work. This is not necessarily how a healthy relationship is. It's everything is placed on the wife's shoulders, including the blame if anything's going wrong. However, the husband is more worthy of this leadership role. It makes no sense to me.
However much she knows that she is gifted in certain areas, or that she can multitask, or that she is better at such and such, she makes room for her husband to lead, and she allows her husband to lead. This will give your husband confidence in his leadership, and it will make him grow in it. Knowing that God has ordained your husband to be the man that leads you, that alone is worth your following him.
He doesn't have to prove himself in any way. He's already just ordained to lead you from the beginning. You have to trust him even if you can't trust him, because you can trust God. The mental gymnastics you have to do to get to there is wild.
A husband requires respect. This is a biblical principle. This isn't anybody's opinion. Husbands need respect. A wise, trustworthy woman has learned to never disrespect her husband, never to yell at him, never to badmouth him, especially in public, to always guard his reputation, no matter what, especially in front of her children.
Boom. That whole area, especially always guard his reputation no matter what, that is shoo-in for domestic violence. They are told this, to not disparage your husband in any way, shape, or form. Even if they are committing domestic violence, even if they're physically, mentally, emotionally hurting you or your children. That is a sick and devious thought process. Not good.
Or her friends. A trustworthy woman will not make fun of her husband, Just as we want to be loved tenderly by our husbands, the same way our husbands need our respect. We need that love and they need that respect. We need to act respectfully towards our husband, talk respectfully towards him. It doesn't mean that we're going to be walked all over, but just think of it as acting Christ-like. When you respect your man whom God has chosen to be your husband, to be your leader, and to be the head of your family, that alone is glorifying God.
So if he's like disrespectful to you, bad to you, remain Christ-like. Glorify God by not disparaging his name, respecting him even if he's horrible to you. That read between the lines, people. That's what they're saying. And it's a sick, terrible way to do this, because the woman, everything's put on her shoulders. Everything. Including if she's being physically, mentally, or emotionally hurt, or hurting, or their husband's hurting their kids, they can't do anything about it. They have to live with it, because apparently God chose this man for her. So then it brings on another layer. Deserving. She's deserving of this. God would not give her, and this is something that's said all the time, God would not give you something that you cannot handle without him. They'll say that you can't handle, and they're like, no, it's that you can't handle without him. Okay, so people should be able to handle domestic violence as long as God's in the picture. I'm telling y'all, this is not healthy. It is not good. It is not safe. And this is one of the reasons that I cover this topic. You would be surprised by how many people are hurt by their husbands. You would be surprised, let me put it this way, you'd be surprised by how many traditional Christian men hurt people, because they are above everyone in their minds. They are worthy of leadership. God's forgiven them, and they think that they will not get in trouble. If everyone does their part like they're supposed to in the traditional Christian household, then the husband shouldn't be getting in trouble.
A trustworthy woman always tries her best. She gives her all to her marriage. In this day and age, many women are working women, and as such, they think that they should divide everything 50-50. You know, they're making an income, so why should they have to do all the chores? Why should they have to cook all the meals?
Which only makes complete, absolute, logical sense.
So they feel like they might need to divide those things up 50-50. But that is not the will of God. The will of God says to give 100% in your marriage, to give it your all, to try your very best in everything you do, to glorify and honor God.
So the idea is she's saying the woman should give 100%, but the man should too. That's the part that she's leaving out. Even in the Bible, the man is supposed to respect and love the woman too. You can't give 100% all the time. There's no way, except of course she is saying you're supposed to. You can't. My partner and I have talked about the idea of like, well, you know, sometimes I'm not going to be able to give 100%. And we don't believe that 100% is always needed. Sometimes it's going to be I'm giving 30% and you're giving 70%. And of course, that won't work in every relationship, therapy, all of that, mental health, an understanding between each other. But that's how life goes. Not every day is going to be a good day. And sometimes you have to pick up the slack simply because you love them and you care for them and you want a healthy working household. When you're having a good day and they're not, you might have to do more. You might have to do it all. But there's going to be the opposite sometime, and they're going to do that for you. If it's, in my opinion, that's part of being in a healthy relationship. But the idea here is you are 100% all the time. You don't show if you're less than 100%. Your husband doesn't have to give 100%. It's always you. Again, so unhealthy. And that's part of why we see traditional Christian homemakers as, I mean, could you imagine the depression, the exhaustion, the robotic life they have to live, and the abuse that they experience? I've known of it. I've seen it. It's bad.
God doesn't want you to give him 50%, so why would you want to give your husband 50%? God says in marriage, 1 + 1 = 1. The man will leave his father and mother to be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. The mathematics of God adds up in different ways, especially in regard to marriage. We must bring 100%, and the husband must bring 100%, and that equals 100% in a marriage.
But see, math is logic. It's supposed to make sense. So 100 plus 100 does not equal 100. 1 plus 1 does not equal 1. And I don't care if it's a spiritual biblical idea. That doesn't matter to me. God, if you believe God, you also believe he created arithmetic, okay? So this bullshit idea that 1 plus 1 is nasty. It's 2, okay? It's not that hard. 100 plus 100 is 200, but there's only a possibility of giving 100%. So the idea that you can give 100 and your husband can give 100, which by the way, she only said once in like a little measly line because she doesn't actually mean it. Like, he deserves to rest. He deserves to take a break, but you don't. Anyway. Moving on. Arithmetic, if you believe God, if you believe he did, and I said this even when I was Christian, if you believe God is God and who he is, then you have to believe that he created science. You have to believe that he created, well, in this case, arithmetic. These things are here because of God. That was part of what I said as a Christian educator. And I mean, of course, not everyone agreed with me. A lot of people probably didn't, but I don't care because I wasn't necessarily if I was ever hypocritical, it was unintentional. I had fierce beliefs and I believed differently than a lot of the people around me simply because I wasn't a traditional Christian. I was more progressive, even as someone who was part of like Baptist and Methodist at some points. I was a progressive. I believed LGBTQ+. I believed that they were human beings and I believed that they had that right. There obviously were moments where I was like against it simply because I didn't understand it as like a young traditional Christian growing up and like being in a school around people who didn't believe it necessarily. But in my heart, I always knew that LGBTQ+ does not simply mean you're a sinner. You deserve to be who you want to be with who you want to be. As long as you're not hurting people and they're not hurting you, I don't see why God wouldn't approve of it. Especially when all those things went down through 2020 and beyond. Like, I was staunchly pro-LGBTQ+, pro-progressivism, pro-mass, like all these different things. I tried to stray away from the word traditional as much as possible. Not to say that I was like some super progressive, wonderful Christian like many people that I do know, because there are some good ones out there, but I definitely wasn't this and would still not agree with it back then. I don't know where I was going with that really, other than to say this is a bunch of BS. This is not healthy. This is not good. This is bad.
A trustworthy woman will listen to their husband. A trustworthy wife listens to her husband. Women tend to talk a lot, and a lot of times we may interrupt our husbands, cut them short, or do most of the talking. I say that because I am guilty of it too. A trustworthy woman will choose to listen to her husband, to give him all of her attention, to put down her phone when he's talking to her, to look into his eyes and listen intently. Men have many ideas and many amazing things that go on in their heads. It's important for us to listen and to not shut down these ideas right away. If you are constantly shutting down what your husband is telling you, he's not going to choose to confide in you.
So honestly, I get the point, but here's what I'm hearing, okay? As I think I'm being pessimistic, but whatever. Here's what I'm hearing in this situation. You know when a child is like just speaking, saying a bunch of shit to you, and it's good for their creative mind to be able to say all of these things and to be able to talk, and it's just part of growth, and you're just sitting there like, yeah. That's what I feel like the wife has to do in this situation with the husband. Just like, yeah. Even though the idea is likely out of touch because he didn't know the family very well. Ridiculous because he's ridiculous. Like, you know, just several different things. Not saying that every time or whatever, but I feel a lot of times in this type of situation, in these traditional homemaking Christian, whatever, traditional Christian homemaking, whatever, the man doesn't know the family as well. The mother knows the family intricately. And so oftentimes the woman's just like, yeah, wow, that's a great idea, you know, when really it's bullshit. He doesn't know anything. Now, I know that's just an example of what I see in this situation at its like worst-ish. What I feel oftentimes probably happens in this type of situation. Not that that's normal for everyday marriage or whatever. And not that men don't have great ideas and not that men can't know their kids. We're talking about this traditional Christian homemaking thing. Okay? That's what I feel when she's saying this. That's what I feel like she's saying. Just at least humor him. And even if his ideas suck, go with his ideas so that he'll trust you and confide in you. Again, still your fault if he doesn't confide in you. It's a bit jarring to listen to this, isn't it? I'm curious what y'all have to think. Let me know below.
Men will think if I tell her, she's just going to ridicule me. She's just going to brush off what I'm saying, so I'm not going to even tell her. And maybe they'll go to somebody else to tell them. When you're able to listen and really take in what your husband is saying and have a positive input when it's your turn to speak, your husband is going to trust you much more with his deep thoughts.
I do understand the idea of like letting your partner speak. I love to talk. Well, I am very ADHD, so sometimes I have an issue with interrupting. My partner's very gentle with that, doesn't bother them. From what I know, we've talked about it. Like, I've told them, like, you know, this is part of me. I'm so sorry. This is something I'm working on fixing. And they've not said anything negative about it, and they've been respectful about it. But I know that's part of me. I interrupt because I think, oh my gosh, you know, like, oh my gosh, listen, oh my gosh, that makes me think of this, that makes me think of this. And they're so very kind and gentle about it. So I get the idea of like letting someone else have that conversation. And as someone who processes stuff out loud, absolutely understand that as well. Letting the husband, the wife, whoever process out loud, in this case, the husband, you know, speak out loud, ideas, maybe start off kind of crap and then get better, whatever. I understand that. We're not talking about that. I just wanted to put that in there because I'm someone who talks a lot. Could you guess?
If you trust in the Lord to listen to you, it is the will of God that we would listen through until we get to the heart of our husbands. A trustworthy woman is hospitable. A trustworthy woman is gentle. A trustworthy woman is vulnerable in the arms of her husband. A trustworthy woman is kind. A trustworthy woman is consistent. She shows compassion, humility. She respects boundaries. She can compromise. She's relaxed. She's on time.
What about the husband? I think what part of what she's saying here is gentle, kind, relax, all this stuff. What it's intentionally doing is trying to take what personality you have and make it as small as possible. Like, you don't want to be a dull robot, even though at times you have to force yourself to be, so that you don't like get really big, but you want to have as little personality as possible so that you don't like make a big show of it or annoy your husband or whatever. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's my like absolute thought process made up, but that's what I'm hearing.
She's grateful. She's not materialistic. She doesn't gossip. She has integrity. She's loyal. She's compassionate, empathetic. Trustworthy women maintain consistency with what they say and what they do. They're the same at work, at home, and everywhere else. They place their trust in God and always seek to glorify Him.
It sounds like you could just never have a change in emotion or a bad day. That's what I'm hearing. You're consistent in all things, which means you could just never have a bad day, which is awful.
I want to thank you for watching this video today, and if it's blessed you in some way, I'd love for you to share your thoughts with me in the comments. Come back every Sunday at 10 a.m. for more traditional Christian homemaking. Subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't forget. God bless you, and remember to glorify.
All right, and I'm not going to say a whole lot about them. I'm just going to read them, and I want to have conversations below. I want to hear what you think. This person says, after 30 years, my husband doesn't talk to me. He comes home, eats, and goes on the phone. If I talk, he just grunts. I have given my marriage to God because it is broken, and she feels like she has no other way out but to give the marriage to God. She has to live this life, and he's treating this person as though she's literally a housemaid and servant, nothing else. What a horrible life to live. God, that sounds so sad. Next, wow, I really needed to hear this, and I've been married 22 years. Sometimes I get so angry expecting so much. Thanks for your wise words. Again, expecting so much, but in reality, you're told to expect nothing, have no expectation. So her having, when she says so much, I think she just really means, like, in my opinion, any expectation at all. After watching this, she's like, I get so angry. Thanks for your wise words. So now she's gonna have like no expectation of him at all, which is so unhealthy. Ugh, and so sad. You have blessed my life more than words can explain. Thank you so much, my sister. I'm 50 years old, married for 15 years, mother of 6, grandma of 8, homeschooled mom and homemaker as well. However, everything you've taught me today touched the very core of my being. I will begin to look towards God more. I have been a nagging wife. Please pray for me. P.S. Old wives can learn new ways. Thank you, Jesus. So when she's talking about nagging wife, she probably simply just means trying to communicate with her husband who doesn't want to listen. Because again, like, communication is not communication, it's complaining. Or another word for that is nagging. And then there's this one that says, was about to listen to this as self-improvement all mopey because I've been feeling like I'm giving too much without anything or any appreciation or love in return, but then changed my attitude. Thank you so much. Again, another wife just wanting anything at all and getting nothing, and then being told what this woman is saying and realizing that any expectation in return at all is too much to ask for. Anything in return is too much to ask for and wrong. Depressing, honestly, to read these comments. Thank you. This has given me hope. I'm desiring to honor God by loving and serving him with my whole life, serving my husband and children, but I, 22 years old, single woman, am feeling pushed to becoming a career woman whose life is all about herself, because that is what the world is telling you to be and live like. And even Christians, and that's how I was brought up, often don't know better. So apparently if you have a career, your life is all about yourself. So does that mean the husband's life is all about themselves? Because it never says that about men. Ever. If they have a career, they're helping the family, but not you as a wife or a woman. Disgusting. Ugh. Oh God, I'm so glad I don't live that life. Anyway, so that's what I have for you today. I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you for being here. I know that a lot of people are gonna have a lot to say. I appreciate you watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Show you what I'm all about. Make up for what we lost. Tonight is the night that we're gonna fall in love. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about yours.